So we have a couple of big news items to touch on here on the channel today, and I'm going to start off with the trade that was announced on Friday, and I just didn't get a chance to do a video on it until now, so let's dive into it. As the Peterborough Petes have traded Chase Lefebvre to the Brampton Steelheads for a conditional 11th round pick in 2028. Now, the conditions have not been revealed, or at least not that I've been able to find. It could be similar to the trade that sent Alec Leonard from London to Owen Sound. In those conditions, if Leonard plays past the OHL trade deadline, then those picks will be upgraded. So I'm wondering if this will be a similar situation as the Brampton Steelheads. This now fills their three overage positions, but with this team looking to contend, maybe they'll look to upgrade one of those three OA positions, and Lefebvre could be one of them. And if that's the case, then it would probably stay as an 11th round pick. But I do like this pickup for Brampton. Lefebvre, he looked great in the preseason, 6 goals in 3 games for Peterborough. Kind of thought maybe Lefebvre was going to take that lead in the offensive category for the Petes, but of course, we all know the slow start that the Peterborough Petes got off to. And for Lefebvre, in just 13 games of work, 2 goals, 7 assists. He missed some time due to a suspension. Just the team in itself couldn't really get anything going. We're still waiting for the Petes really to turn their season around. Just 2 wins coming up to the end of November. So a very surprising start, although we all expected Peterborough to be in a rebuild. But with the trade, the Petes have narrowed it down. They now have 3 overagers on the roster: Jonathan Malee, Ryder McIntyre, and Gavin Bryant. And at this point in the season, you're allowed up to 4 overagers on your roster, but you can only dress 3. And then at the OHL trade deadline on January 10th, you have to have that down to 3 overagers. So Peterborough seems to have their OA situation figured out at this point, while Brampton, they now have 3 overagers, because that was a question mark for the Steelheads. Who would they add as their 3rd overager? And they've decided with Chase Lefebvre to go alongside Spencer Sova and Stevie Lescavar. And with Lefebvre being picked up, that's now 2 Peterborough Pete draft picks from 2020 on the Steelheads roster. So just a little tidbit of information there. So we'll see how it goes. Lefebvre, no points in his first 2 games with Brampton over the weekend, but he did get the 5-minute major in the game against the Sioux Greyhounds. So he decided to drop the gloves, and usually when you do that, you slowly become a fan favorite. So we'll see how Lefebvre does with the Brampton Steelheads going forward. Now, the big news coming out of the weekend, it was revealed during 32 Thoughts from Elliot Friedman from Hockey Night in Canada that the OHL looking at an aggressive expansion process. And we've been talking about expansion here on the channel a bit. I did the video back in, I believe it was August, around the time that Brian Crawford was named the new commissioner of the Ontario Hockey League. And in his press conference, mentioned that he wants a team in Toronto. And of course, Toronto used to have the Toronto St. Michael's Majors. They eventually moved to Mississauga, and now they have their ties to the Brampton Steelheads. So we haven't had a Toronto team since 2007, and it looks as though Crawford would like to see a team in Toronto, but that may have to wait because the aggressive expansion plans involve the USHL. We've talked about it on here before, how the Muskegon Lumberjacks and Youngstown Phantoms have both approached the OHL about joining the Ontario Hockey League. That was Jeff Merrick who first posted that information. And with the vote from the NCAA now allowing CHL players into Division 1, it seems as though the expansion thought process has been expedited, not just in the OHL, but even the QMJHL. They've talked about expansion into the United States. So with what Friedman is reporting from the weekend is that at least 2 teams will be added to the OHL, and it could be as soon as next season. So if that's the case, it sounds like it'll be Muskegon and Youngstown joining the OHL for the 2025-26 season. Nothing has been confirmed. I would expect in the next couple of weeks, we should hear something to confirm whether or not those 2 teams will join the OHL, because typically with the schedule making process, any sort of relocation, the league likes to have that figured out by the end of January. And we've seen that in the past. We saw that when the Flint Firebirds moved there from the Plymouth. With the Whalers, they had to announce their relocation process. We saw the North Bay Battalion announce their relocation process from Brampton. So there is a soft deadline as to when the league wants to know when there's going to be a relocation. And I would imagine it would be similar for an expansion process such as this, because they need to figure out the schedule for next season, how that would all work. Do they adjust the 68-game schedule? So there's a lot to process here, but it sounds as though the OHL is ready to expand one way or another. So that's going to be very interesting to follow. But what's really so it seems as though it's going to be the two teams from the USHL joining the OHL first, and then we may add a couple more cities. Like I said, Toronto is on the radar. I'm not sure where they would play. Of course, the PWHL moving from former Maple Leaf Gardens to Coca-Cola Coliseum, so there's a vacancy there. Do you put the OHL team back at Maple Leaf Gardens, where we've had an OHL team before of the Toronto Marlboros? About 30, 40 years ago was the last time we saw an OHL team call the Maple Leaf Gardens home. So there's that option, but also remember the city of Burlington right now in the process of building a new OHL arena. That has not yet been finalized by the city council, but everyone on council is in favor of it. That sounds like it could be within 5 years that we'd have a new OHL arena. So consider Burlington as a potential expansion candidate. We're also waiting to find out about Hamilton, First Ontario Centre, right now undergoing renovations. And it sounds like, from what I'm hearing, in January, we should get an announcement about a team potentially calling Hamilton home in the future. And it sounds like it could be an American Hockey League team. Nothing's been confirmed, but you have to wonder, could the Belleville Senators end up in Hamilton? That's kind of a theory that's been going around. Nothing to confirm that, although when you put the connections together, Michael Andlauer purchasing the Ottawa Senators, he wants hockey to thrive in the city of Hamilton. He used to own the Hamilton Bulldogs when they were in Hamilton, and then he moved them to Burlington or Brantford because of the whole renovation process and was basically kicked out. So I'm wondering if that could be a direction we see with the city of Hamilton. Andlauer moving the farm team to Hamilton, which would then leave Belleville open. And I know there's a lot of people who would love to see Belleville back in the OHL circuit. That won't be a right-away thing either, because they have their lease agreements that have to be figured out. So Burlington, Belleville, along with Muskegon and Youngstown, are those the four candidates? We'll have to wait and see. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on all the expansion talk, because it seems like expansion is on the way. I know there's fans that feel that adding more teams is going to water down the talent. That's been an argument we've had in the National Hockey League as they've been expanding. But it's a business. They want to make profits, and you do that when your business is growing. So the OHL seems primed and ready for this, what Elliot Friedman is calling an aggressive expansion process. And they had their talks with the OHL last week, and that came out of a meeting there. So we'll keep an eye on this one and see where it goes from here. Now, news out of Sudbury. Jeff Merrick is reporting that Quentin Musty will not be playing at the World Juniors for Team USA after breaking his hand during the game Sunday against the Oshawa Generals, which is really tough as Musty, one of the favorites to make Team USA. Of course, he was a holdout. He didn't return to the Sudbury Wolves after coming back from the San Jose Sharks camp. He put in a trade request. The Wolves, they didn't make a trade. They wanted him to come back. He ended up playing, and now he's injured, and that injury will carry over into 2025 past the OHL trade deadline. So a very interesting spot right now for Sudbury. So Musty will not be playing in the World Juniors, according to Jeff Merrick. And what does this mean now for trade candidates for Quentin Musty? Can the Wolves make that trade with him being injured? Obviously, if he's going to miss the World Juniors due to a broken hand, how long is he going to be out of the lineup? So that's according to Jeff Merrick. And also to note, Easton Cowan, it's been 1 year now since he started his 54-game point streak. He was held out of the lineup last night against the Ottawa 67s. If he would have gotten a point yesterday, that would have been a 55-game point streak, but he was kept out due to a lower body injury. According to the London Knights, it's not serious. It's precautionary, but still something to keep an eye on, as Easton Cowan has been amazing for the London Knights. And of course, that 54-game point streak is just regular season games from last year and into this year. So we'll see how long he's going to be out of the lineup. Expect him to maybe be in the World Junior. Well, he'll probably be playing for Team Canada at the World Juniors. But keep an eye on Easton Cowan on his health. It sounds like it's a precautionary issue for the game yesterday against Ottawa, but we've seen that with players in the National Hockey League level, like Austin Matthews. They say he's going to miss just maybe a game or two, and it ends up being a few weeks. So keep a close watch on Easton Cowan with the London Knights. Now, the final news item, Liam Beamish. He'll be making his Sarnia Sting debut Wednesday when the Sting play the Flint Firebirds. Because of the NCAA vote, Beamish decided to sign with the Sarnia Sting. He signed his Ontario Hockey League scholarship and development agreement. So some good news here for the Sarnia Sting. Beamish was playing in the BCHL with the Salmon Arm Silverbacks, and he's decided that he's going to come back to Ontario to play on the Ontario Hockey League. So Beamish, a 17-year-old forward from Beamsville, Ontario. I think this is going to be a good addition for the Sting. They're a young group, a pretty exciting group to follow when they are healthy, and I think Beamish is just going to add to it. When you already have a guy like Beckham Edwards, who's been phenomenal out on the ice. I think he's an early OHL Rookie of the Year candidate, and now you add Beamish, Diorio. I think the future is looking bright for the Sarnia Sting. So that debut will come on Wednesday against the Flint Firebirds. So I know there's a lot of news here to cover, and that's how I see it from the booth. Let me know in the comments down below your thoughts on any of these news items. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. It's been really great seeing the growth on this channel as the subscriber count has passed 360, or 560 rather. I'm blown away by the response, so thank you very much. If you have clicked subscribe, if you haven't hit subscribe yet, that's okay. This is just a great spot that we can come together and talk OHL here on this corner of the internet. So thanks again for all your support. Hit like and subscribe. Talk to you soon.